Hi everyone, I'm Ian Fales, welcome back to THU TV. It's the last day of Trojan Horse today, that went quick. And thanks for joining me all week on THU TV. If you want to see more THU TV stuff, you can actually subscribe, and they've been making amazing shows this week at Trojan Horse. The website to go to is trojan-unicorn.com/TV. Definitely sign up there. You can also look at past years' THU TVs, and some of those are fantastic. But anyway, thanks for joining us for the live free stream this week. Today, I'm joined by two warriors. We've got David on the end and Finnian here. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic. Thanks so much for having us.
Oh, I'm stoked to have you on too. One of the coolest things is, and I totally admitted this to you before, was that you guys are on a list that Andre had made of like attendees who would be cool to come on the show. And I sort of had a look at your portfolios on ArtStation and LinkedIn, and just had a look around what work you guys have done. And it turns out you're mates.
Funny enough,
friends.
we are.
You both work in Los Angeles, right? What I'm going to do is go through some of your career history, just so people know who you are. But we're also going to talk today about this idea of, or two things actually. Seeing your work up on the screen, because sometimes what you do as a concept artist is like work on the computer for months and months, and it sort of stays on the computer or online. But now you guys are working in film, and your work is being shown on film, right? And that's a really interesting thing that not everyone gets to experience. The other thing is just going from doing lots of personal art to art for film or games or whatever it is. And, is that different? So we'll get to that in a minute. But David, maybe we'll start with you. Tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got up to now.
Yeah, sure. So I'm from Boston originally, Boston, Massachusetts. I lived there all my life pretty much, within that New England region. And Luma Pictures actually contacted me for a job on Doctor Strange.
Oh, really?
In, early summer 2016 to fly out there. Previously I was freelancing for, some other companies, games, indie projects and all that. So, it was my first big opportunity on a feature film. So I was like, okay, I'll take it. And then, I ended up flying out there. Worked on Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, Thor, list goes on. And from there, I pretty much, springboard into, working in the film industry from there.
Right. And actually, here's another random thing. We totally met
Yes,
last year
we met
Fiji.
in Fiji. It was a
And I'd
Luma
forgotten.
company trip. No, me too.
But that's because Luma Pictures had an event out there, and it was really cool, wasn't it? Yeah. So what sort of things were you doing on Doctor Strange and Spider-Man? Concepts, right?
Concepts from background stuff to like, concepts for what a matte painting might look like, or design sheets for certain elements, whether it's props or something that were full CG, stuff like that pretty much.
Yep. Yeah. Just really quickly, because some people have been doing this during the live feed, what is the ArtStation or your own personal website link?
Right now it's tiltonart.com. I've also got a ArtStation, under my name, David Tilton, and Facebook is using my main outlet for social media. Cool. So search my name, David Tilton, on Facebook. Should pop up a picture of me.
Awesome. Yeah, no, check it out while we're chatting. That would be really cool. Yeah. Finnian, tell me about your story to where you are now.
Yeah, for sure. I grew up in Chicago, Illinois. I moved to California, Pasadena, right outside Los Angeles, to go to Art Center College of Design. I was there for around 2 years, and through their program, I was able to get an internship at Sony Santa Monica, working on the new God of War game. I stayed there for a little bit, but I wanted to try out film, so I prepped a portfolio on the side to apply to ILM. Once I was there, I worked on Star Wars, The Lion King, Pacific Rim, a bunch of different titles. Had an amazing experience, and then moved back to LA recently to work with 20th Century Fox.
Okay. Yeah. And both of you have probably worked on projects we're not allowed to talk about, right? But you can tell me. No, but that's an interesting thing, right? When you get a job in the industry, you've actually got to kind of like keep things quiet. Is that hard to do?
Yeah, definitely. I would say that you work with these people that really inspire you, and you probably want to talk about it and talk about things you've learned on the projects, but obviously you can't really share anything.
Yeah, you can't release too much. You can be vague about things.
Yeah, right.
But you can't, like, sometimes you can't even say the name of the project.
Yeah,
Definitely. In fact, I'm going to admit something, David. When I looked at your LinkedIn, it's full of unannounced projects.
Yeah.
Guess what? That was like a real attraction to me, because I was like, that means you're working.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like doing lots of things. So anyway.
Yeah. So like most of those were like the pre-production stuff.
Right.
Super early pre-production, like working side by side with the scriptwriter and the director, and then going from there pretty much, which was an interesting experience because you had a big impact pretty much. Like I was working with a team of 3 other concept artists on a project, and we each had our own input on the designs that we were presenting and stuff, and it was kind of like a really interesting scenario because compared to post-production at least.
Sure. Right, okay. We're going to talk about those 2 topics that I mentioned in a minute, about seeing your work up on the screen and also getting from personal to film in a minute. But I also heard from you right before we started that this is the first time you've been at THU, right?
Yeah, for both of us.
So how did you even hear about this? Apparently it's obviously big in your industry.
I think years ago, I think we both heard about it during the first one, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
Just, I think, through friends that were here that we saw online, and they'd post pictures, say they're looking forward to it. We saw all the amazing events happening. We both subscribed to THU TV in the past. Yeah.
Wow.
And
awesome.
we both really, really wanted to come for a long time, and very, very happy. I did.
And likewise. Yeah,
happy,
exactly.
And we'll be attending in the future for sure.
Yeah. So some people can't get a ticket because it sells out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I think it sold out in about 8 days. So if you really wanted to come, you were able to, right? That's how you got tickets.
Yeah.
You got online early.
Yeah.
Okay. First impressions. How was it when you got here?
It was amazing. It's so hard to put into words, to be honest. It's I've watched it online via THU TV, but being here and being able to experience it and the whole energy surrounding the whole event is so hard to put into words. It's just an amazing feeling, and getting to meet all your heroes and people that you've looked up to for years. Getting to actually meet them, interact with them, ask them the questions that you've always been wondering, and them giving you their most heartfelt answers, and it really makes a big impact. And I've learned a lot, and there's no substitute for this, I think.
Yeah, awesome.
For me, it was a lot about there are these people I looked up to for a very long time that I wanted to ask their advice on things, and it's not usually stuff that you can just bother them online about. I wanted to meet them and really get their opinions and learn about their stories and how they progressed through similar problems in the past. I think that's one of the things that is amazing about THU is you go into it expecting these people that are gods to you, people that you've looked up to for years, and wondering if you'll even get a chance to talk to them.
Yeah.
And you come here and find out that they're more than happy to share their information. They're more than happy to sit down with you for hours, from 12 to 4 a.m. sometimes. And they're
and later.
And later. And, sacrificing, time just to help you out. And that's really what touched me and made me want to come back in the future for sure.
And the kebabs, right?
And the kebabs.
And the kebabs, yes.
Oh my god.
What's so good about them?
I don't
Really
know.
tasty.
They're
I prefer the Durham kebab, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, from my own point of view, also, there's so many different things you can do. You can literally just chat to someone, as in like one person, but actually lots of people all day. And then that's not even going to the talks.
Exactly.
Like the talks you could just go to all day as well, and in fact, most people do. One problem is sometimes there's 2 on at the same time that you can't get to.
Very hard to decide.
Luckily, sometimes THU TV, they'll be available, not all of them. But I do recommend looking those kinds of things up. Another one, something I wanted to ask you about in terms of your experience is getting to know other artists. You guys have had a lot of work recently. You've been working in the film industry. Some people come here and they sort of need a bit of inspiration and, want to see what other people have done. Do you get to talk to other artists a lot and share your stories?
Yeah. Absolutely. For me, a lot of that is you meet these people online, through Facebook or other social media platforms these days, and you get to know them really well. You know, we have Google Hangouts and everything now, and being able to meet them in person here, like I said, you just hear a lot about their stories. We share work experiences we've had in the past. We talk about what inspires us. For me, a lot it's travel and seeing other cities, like I mentioned about Lisbon earlier. And I just think that assembling all this information from various people, when you leave, you're just super inspired. Like we both talked about wanting to work like right now while we're here, because we're so inspired, have all these ideas.
Funnily enough, people kind of do though, right?
Yeah,
they bring sketchbooks and they bring tablets.
Yeah, their laptops and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's like, whenever they have some free time, they'll start, working on the image.
I hate those people because I'm really jealous that they can just go and sit in a corner.
Yeah.
You're probably two of those people, and just pull out the most amazing artwork. Yeah, it's really cool. I tell you what, what's interesting is we're chatting, and there's like the people are waiting to go into this room behind us, and they're so buzzy.
Yeah.
Like I can barely hear you actually.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm sure everyone at home can. All right. So let's talk a bit about this jump that I'm sort of talking about from doing your own personal stuff to working in the film industry. Now, clearly that was probably your goal from the beginning, was it, when you got into it?
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think it was, and how was it elevating yourself from study and personal work to getting a job?
Well, like the way I approached personal work when I was first going about, I just start making images one by one. They're one-off pieces. But as I progressed and started to focus more towards the film industry, I started to realize that probably the best way about approaching a portfolio is making projects and approaching those as if you were working already.
Yeah.
And that's how I went about it. So I'd start with writing down a little story or something and keywords that I want represented in that story, whether it's emotions related stuff or more design heavy topics, right? And I'd go from there, do line sketches and orthographic views, color keys, and then do the paintings in 3D and pretty much do the entire cycle from start to end.
Yeah.
And then when I got, my jobs and stuff, it was a pretty easy transition for the most part, just a bit faster paced.
Yeah, right.
So I just had to kick it up a gear,
Yeah.
But other than that, I already had the structure, I think, prepared, which I think is really helpful for anyone out there that wants to go down this route. Prepare a personal project or two and really push that, and then try to simulate what you think the industry would be like.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think a way that I would put it is similar to what I've heard from many speakers here in the past couple of days, is that you do what you love, and that really shows in your personal work.
Yeah.
When you have an idea that's very close to you, and you're really pushing yourself, staying up late at night because you care about it, I think that shows in what you do. And companies, when they see that, I think they see it in an elevated state, and they're like, wow, this person, you can tell when someone enjoys what they're painting or what they're modeling. And I think when the companies see that you can develop a narrative around something that you love and adapt to different styles, that's when they really start to take notice and hire you. I also think it's extremely important to keep doing personal work while you're working.
Yeah.
Right, I was going to ask you about this.
Yeah, and all the jobs, I think probably for both of us that we've gotten are because of our personal work.
Yeah.
You don't really get much of an opportunity to release work once you start in the industry. And you want to obviously keep producing stuff because you don't want to be, first of all, you don't want to have an empty portfolio, but other than that, you want to release all these other feelings you have and still be creative on the side, develop your own IP or storylines. So no matter what it takes, I'm sure we both made a lot of sacrifices to do that, but it's definitely worth it and important.
When do you find the time to work on your own personal stuff, David?
Usually in the dead of night.
Yeah.
I've been trying to wake up earlier, like say work starts at 9 or 10. I'd wake up at 4:35 and make breakfast and then start working and try to get stuff done during that time. So I'm not tired from work yet, and then I have all that energy, and then I go into work and I do my however many hours it is that day, depending on the timeline and the project, and go from there. And if I still have energy, I'll come home and work again on the stuff that I was working on in the morning. If not, then oh well, I already worked on it. So
right. What's an example of a recent thing you've been doing?
So I've been pursuing this underwater city design. It was fully organic. and I was just trying to explore different design methods on that and like functionality-based stuff. Like how they would get rid of waste or how they'd mine for resources, for example, in an underwater world. So I've been exploring that and just seeing where that goes.
And do you release things periodically on ArtStation or elsewhere, or are you waiting to do something final?
So those
before you...
I've dropped like about 2 pieces and a few design sheets already.
Yeah.
And I'm working on 2 more bigger scale pieces, like just to see how far I can push the project and push the image quality, because I really want to hit that next level with this series.
Yeah, right. What about you, Finnian?
Well, I suppose I would wanted to mention that personal work is also where you would go to learn more about subjects that you never experimented with before. And that's what I've been trying to do recently, is learn more hard surface design of functional vehicles. And it's also a way that an event like this really helps, because you meet all these people who are incredible at things that you're terrible at. And you can then ask them for their feedback. Everybody's happy to help. And for me, I've been working on a lot of vehicle design lately and weapons design, and trying to be as very specific with it as I can be. And it takes a while, so I haven't released anything from that project yet, because every part needs to serve a purpose. And I've been asking, actually a lot of people that I met earlier at this event and people online, what I can do to push that. But yeah, I mean, I definitely work on this stuff, usually between like midnight and 2 a.m. most nights, and then on weekend, it's like it's a crunch for sure. It's tough.
We were just talking about the fact that I go to bed at 9:30.
Yeah, yeah. It's you really any chance you get. Obviously, we still want to have a social life and have a good time and everything. But if you have a dream that you really want to get out there, you will have to make sacrifices for it eventually. And sacrifice some sleep. I'll sleep the rest of my life. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was going to ask you too, for a project that you can talk about, that's been and gone. What was something that you worked on that then became, say, a CG character or a visual effect in a film or game or whatever it is you want to talk about? Because I'm really curious about having worked on it, in the design phase, and then here it is as a final image. I'm really curious about what that's like to absorb and how you felt about it. You don't need to say if you really hated the final result or film, but just thinking back to any projects that you can mention, some character or design.
I'd say, so I worked on the recent season of Game of Thrones.
Right.
And the ship battle in episode 2, for those, I won't go into too much detail in case anyone hasn't
everyone's
seen
seen
it.
it. I reckon 40 million
spoilers.
people have seen
Okay, cool. So the ship battle there, I helped finalize the Silence and the other ships there and the entire battle, and do concepts for that. And eventually I also went on and did some like map painting work on it on the back end of that. So seeing the evolution from the concept to the final was really cool to see. And a similar thing for the finale of the wall falling, right? Like seeing how the dragon came in the shot was crazy to see compared to like the concept work. So seeing the evolution of how things progress throughout the production is really amazing.
That ship battle is a cool sequence too, because although they might not have shot much at sea, a lot of it was done on a dry dock or a car park against green screen, but with big ship sets, right?
Exactly.
And with
full
that
size
cantilevered bridge when it crashes into the ship. Oh, this is the right sequence.
Yeah, this is exactly with the fire and exactly.
And so here is a sequence that could possibly have been a big CG one, and it was in part. But had a lot of practical side
involved,
to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, which I think would just be interesting in terms of like not everything is CG all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I like stuff that has a balance between CG and practical.
Yeah,
it adds life to it.
Yeah, cool.
For me, it's funny. I was going to talk about a ship battle as well.
Oh, look at
a different type of ship battle. In Rogue One, there's a scene where 2 Star Destroyers collide. And
has anyone heard of Rogue One? I don't know.
And these ships collide, and there's this epic moment where one slices off the top of the other, and then falls into the planet basically and destroys a ton of stuff. That was really special for me. First of all, because I'm a huge Star Wars fan, but because we really spent so much time working on every detail. Dennis Murin came down and helped us design what all the parts falling apart would be like. Then we went to design with the modelers and painted over things they had done and worked with their models. It was a huge collaborative effort. And I learned a lot from the process, just working with all these other departments to realize something on a huge scale in the end. Because we had no idea what that would really look like in space. I don't think we had simulated something like that before. So figuring that out over the time it took was definitely an incredible experience. Yeah.
Right. And so when you're doing that design and then it goes more to the CG modelers and then ILM's team, do they come back to the design team at all for any questions?
I mean, if there's time, absolutely. I think it helps a ton. Visual development at ILM is something that carries on through the entire process.
Yeah.
So when we have a 3D model that we're shipping out or we send the design to the modelers, we try to work with them until the design is approved, back and forth, doing paint overs and assisting wherever the artist can. Yep. And I think that really establishes a good narrative between the departments, a lot of communication to realize something that's thought out by, a ton of different people working together in the end.
Yeah. And look, shout out to ILM's website, ilm.com. I think it's still there, but they have a great section of that website where they did post a whole bunch of concept art that didn't necessarily make the book. The art of
post-production.
Post-production, because of time. Yeah. But I really love that ILM published a whole section just showing their work. Maybe some of yours is in there.
Yeah, right? A little bit,
Yeah. Oh, cool. All right, we don't have long to go because 25 minutes seriously goes like that. But I wanted to ask you a bit more about THU, like best moments, best talks, things you remember from the week.
For me, I was talking about earlier how artists will devote hours of their time just staying up and talking. And Ben Morrow, who we're huge fans of, stayed up 4 hours from like midnight to 4 a.m. just talking with us at the Oasis. And we were asking him advice on all these things going on in our lives. And we both admire what he's done with his life and the amazing things he's worked on. I mean, pretty much every aspect. And just getting that one-on-one time with him is something that I don't think we ever dreamed of getting. And how gracious he was, and don't mean that, but like how helpful he was and willing to give his time. Was really
I absolutely agree. In fact, as a non-artist, he was on the couch yesterday or the day before. And I was peppering him with questions about Valerian and his career, and it was
super
fantastic.
Inspiring guy.
Fantastic for me too. Yeah. What about you, David?
Well, like
that
Finnian
obviously
said, that's probably the top. But also, like Carla and Ian's talks were really impactful for me. Because recently I found myself in kind of a little art slump, and I feel like both those talks really helped me, get over that mentally. And now I'm ready to head back and finish up working on whatever I was working on back home and push myself to that next level and keep going,
Awesome. Okay, and so if you had to give advice about coming over to THU and how to sort of make that happen work-wise as well, right? Like you had to
I
give
gave
heads
notice like 7 months ago, right when I started working. And because I knew this year I was not going to miss it no matter what. I would give anything. I was like, there's no way I'm going to miss it.
Yeah, cool.
I'm not sure, save up, do whatever you can. You can ask favors, I'm sharing a room with 5 people. So, we coordinated this not like instantly. It was over a long period of time.
Yeah.
So.
Everybody here is super happy to help out. They understand that, some people will need help getting here and they do everything they can.
Exactly.
Another thing you guys mentioned before is that you spent a couple of days in Lisbon, right? Or at both ends?
Exactly.
I want to do that.
It's an amazing city, It's something that you can't get back in the States, really. There's so much history there. It's like you're walking through like a street in like King's Landing or something,
Yeah.
It's an amazing place, and it's a great inspiration.
Right. I mean, because here is pretty nice itself.
Yeah.
It's like a resort, and there's a beach, and there's a bar.
Yeah.
Open 24 hours. Sort of. But Lisbon has that old world kind of thing going on, doesn't it? Yeah. Perhaps to be inspired in a different way, artistically. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, it's been such a pleasure having you on. Thanks so much for coming, and I've really enjoyed chatting to you.
Thanks so much for having us.
Cool. That's it for that, and we're going to have a break and be back with Rob Rebin from 3D World Magazine.